So, how are we doing? Welcome back to the second episode of the Purusha Podcast. You're here with myself, James Hempton, and
Noel Foley.
How are we doing? So, this is officially now the second episode. So, let's briefly just give people a bit of a background what's after happened. We did record a second episode, but it didn't go to plan.
So obviously we're just new to what's going on.
Yeah, very much so.
As everyone knows. So the second episode, we made a lot of mistakes. We tried to do all of the pillars of Purusha, which is what we're all about, in one episode. And it just got very overwhelming. I don't think we structured it very well. So today we were like, why don't we break it down and just kind of get smaller pieces and give people, better content and better information.
Dead right, man. Yeah. And I think it's a good lesson for anyone to kind of know is that, like, when you're trying to do everything at once, it normally all falls apart, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so why not focus on one thing first? And like we talked about earlier on, man,
yeah.
and the cards are in the way up. You focus on one thing first and then just build, because you have to take the first step. It's like if you're trying to multitask, I mean, you're killing yourself because your attention's everywhere.
Exactly.
Just put it into one thing and then work on that.
Well, it's interesting you spoke about attention there, because this is what this podcast is going to be all about. Not the whole thing, but a part of it.
You let people know what it's about.
Yeah, so today's podcast is going to be about breathwork and meditation, why we believe that they are great tools and techniques for people to use in their daily lives to improve many aspects. But the big thing is the attention thing there, like we said. So because we have been avid meditators for the last 2 years, we're starting to see the mistakes that we're making when we're doing things, which is so important. So like as you said there, the attention we're going too far ahead.
Exactly.
So being aware of that by meditating, you start to see the mistakes you're making. It's almost like a reset.
Yeah.
You come back and you reset and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going 5 steps too fast here. Like we did with the podcast.
Yeah.
So let's see, can we come back a little bit, take it one step at a time, do it right, and build momentum that way.
100%, man. Yeah, like meditation's it's a reflective practice. So you're always reflecting and then you're assessing what's going on.
Exactly.
You're evaluating how you're feeling. So it's very much introspective as well, man. So, and I think it's something that...
It's contemplation.
It is contemplation, man. And one thing I'd say, imagine you could ask everyone in the world to do one thing. I would ask them to meditate, man. Because like the self-awareness that comes from it is incredible.
It's magical.
It is. It's magical, man. You get to know yourself in a much better way. Where I feel like, and if I hadn't came across the practice of meditation, man, I feel like I'd be so lost.
Well, I think, like you said there, lost is because when you don't meditate and when you don't stop for a minute and think about things, or not think about things actually, because when you're meditating, you're trying almost not to think. You're trying to just become awareness.
Exactly.
You start to see the act that you're playing to the world. Do you know what I mean? You start to see the role that you have developed through many different avenues. But it's like the way your parents brought you up, the way people in school said you were good at this, so you went down that route. But you never stop and think, is it something that I actually am enjoying now, or is it just something I fell into because everyone around me told me I was good at it, so I just did it? You start to see these little things and you start to figure yourself out a bit more. What do I actually like? What don't I like? Am I doing this for the right reasons? All these different things.
And I do believe, man, you're dead right. And I think there's a sense of security with that as well. So when you get to know yourself in a different way through the practice of meditation and like I said, that reflection that you have, man, and you really understand who you are, you cultivate that self-awareness. You become, I honestly feel, man, you become more confident who you are because you actually know the foundation of you. You know who you are. Yeah. You're starting to figure out what your likes and dislikes in the world.
Yeah.
You're trying to find out what your purpose is in life.
That's a big thing.
Ask yourself all these questions, man.
Yeah.
Where if you don't ever give yourself the space to do that, how will you ever find out who you really are?
No, you won't. You'll just, you'll just kind of fall into whatever's going on. You'll become a product of your environment. That's something we spoke about recently, is like how most people, including ourselves for a long time, were products of our environment. So everything we did was it because of our choice? Mostly not. We think it is. In your mind, you're like, oh, I'm choosing to do all these things. But it's actually your environment is inflicting onto you. So the people you're around, the information you're taking in, all these different things are actually affecting you.
It's so interesting, man. It's so interesting. Because look,
it's crazy.
when we actually spoke about this off camera, man, look, I've done nursing for a couple of years. I studied nursing, and I had to play that role as a nurse. Like, and look, you have to. There is certain roles you do play,
and you take a lot from it.
You do. You definitely do. But you understand in yourself.
Yeah.
You're almost acting in a way that's not you, but you have to play that role because this is what you're involved in.
That's true, yeah.
And it's very strange when you take a step back. For instance, man, for a long time I didn't realize I was playing that role.
No, you get so identified with the role and all the things that come with it that you start to make an identification with it, like a self-image that this is who I am. I'm James Hempton, the nurse. I'm the guy who does this, that. It's like you're not that guy. You're just acting that way. And now you're lost because it's like, are you actually that person?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a great question for people to ask themselves as well, man. It definitely is. Exactly. Are you, like you said, a product of your environment?
Yeah. Or are you making decisions on your own self? And I don't know. A lot of people I find aren't, and a lot of the reason why is because they're not taking the time to sit down, be with themselves, and just disconnect from everything else because we're so hyperstimulated.
Yeah.
You know, our brains are firing and our nervous system is firing all the time.
And that leads to chaos.
It leads to chaos. It leads to chaos, which we're going to get into today. Yeah. So basically let's begin. So what is meditation? And we're going to talk about breath work as well, because that's something that we do on the Saturdays and it's something that we're very interested in ourselves. They kind of intertwine, don't they?
They do.
The two, but we'll talk about them as maybe a duo today. Yeah, they're obviously slightly different. But so first of all, let's just mention what it is. So we're kind of going down the path explaining why we do it, and kind of giving a rough answer. But what kind of is
what is meditation and breath work?
Like a very simple definition.
For me, man, it would be, if I could wrap it up in a definition, it's like the stillness of the mind from thought.
Yeah.
So you want to you want to slow everything down. You want to cultivate inner peace within inside of you, and that is completely possible.
Yeah.
And for me, man, when I say pre-meditation, before I ever meditated,
before you ever did it,
I was all over the place, man.
No.
Emotions would just control me. I had no control of myself, and that's a great thing with meditation, man. It's a practice of self-control, self-discipline. And the reason why you do it is because you love yourself. So self-love as well, man.
It's everything in there.
It's all about the self.
Yeah.
You have to be, it's a practice that's obviously very selfish, but in a sense, it's very selfless, because you become a better person from giving yourself, say for instance, the 20 minutes a day, man.
Yeah.
Or whatever it may be, you build up to that. What I'm trying to say is, because you're putting that time aside for you, you're a better person to be around. You have better energy about yourself.
Yeah.
And what I really like about meditation, man, is how peaceful it makes me feel. For me, it's a very enjoyable practice. I'm going on about myself, and you'll come across in a sec, bro. What I'm trying to say is that it's a very peaceful experience, right? And I think there's so much can come from that, because you start to see things much more. When you're in a peaceful mindset, like say for instance, you were telling me you meditate this morning, you start seeing different insights, man.
Yeah.
You start noticing things even about yourself.
Well, you catch yourself. So like, you think of it, right? If you're only identified with your thoughts all the time, it's very hard to catch yourself, because you're going off on thought loops all the time. You know, you're going down rabbit holes left, right and center, and there's no anchor to pull you back and settle you and go, relax. Like this is the present moment right here. All the other stuff is just mental noise. So when you meditate, when you do breath work, it's like you come back to your center again. You come back to that middle ground. You're in that moment of presence, where that's where we want to be as much as possible, because that's where we are most creative. That's where we're most at ease, most at peace, is when our mind is settled and in the present. But if your mind is constantly projected into the future, or constantly a record of the past, so you're just repeating your past thoughts, your past experiences, your past habits, it just becomes like a program. And it's like you are not even there anymore. It's the program is running the whole show.
And you never catch yourself then.
And you never
Imagine
catch
that.
yourself.
You go your whole life living this one program.
It's like
you see it, man. You see people that
walk
around.
You see it.
And I almost think it's like The Walking Dead, man. I know there's a show on that, but it is, man. Think of it. If you're just the same,
it's actually true.
It is. That's how it is, man.
No,
Think
some
about
people,
it. If you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, you see it
until the day.
You see it in their face, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like
there's no life there, man.
You look at the eyes, and it's like, where is that? Where is the life? It's gone. It's just been drilled out, because for so long they've drilled in these programs, and now they're not actually in control anymore.
And like you talked about it all the time, man, it's unconscious. It's completely unconscious.
95%, I said in the last podcast, of what you do every day is unconscious.
And with meditation, you become more aware.
Yes.
You
open the veil of your unconscious, and you see your emotions, your thoughts, your habits, your limiting beliefs, your insecurities, your jealousy. You see everything.
You see it all, man.
And you start to look at it, and if you're honest with yourself, now you can actually do something about it. You're like, okay, look, I have all these issues. I'm sitting here. I can see them all clearly. There's no more lying to myself. There's no more trying to escape from these issues. Let's get these issues sorted, and let's make a better life for myself.
Exactly.
And it's like, this is the tool, and this is what it can give you.
Yeah, 100%, man. And then you become a better person for it, man, because
100%.
You're much more authentic in who you are. You're not like you said, we could talk about roles, just looping it back around to it. You're not playing a role anymore. You're just like, this is who I am.
You're aware of the role.
And you're not afraid, man.
Yeah, you're
the
not.
great thing about meditation, man, what it gives you this self-confidence where you're not afraid to be who you are, because you
That's
accept
true.
yourself.
Exactly, man.
You're accepting of who you are as a person.
It takes away the doubt and the fear with trying to play that role. It's just like, no, this is who I am.
Yeah.
If people don't like it, that's fine. I'm not going to be able to please everybody.
No.
But at least if I'm my authentic self, I'll only attract the people who are going to make my life better. Instead of trying to play a role, and then you've got people that are lingering around who, are they a friend, are they not? You don't know, because you're not being honest.
Yeah.
So when you just be honest with people, if they don't like it, that's fine.
And what's cool,
you might lose some people,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you're going to gain the real people.
Yeah.
The ones that are actually going to be friends and people that you want to connect with.
You see through it, man. You see through it. It's like we talked about even before we came on mic, man. Life is like a game, right?
It is.
And meditation almost gives you this kind of insight into the game.
It's
where
like
you
a
get
cheat code.
It is like a cheat code. You get to see things from a broader perspective, man.
Yeah.
You even can see, even when you're around different people, how their energy is, man. This is what I refer to when I talk about energy. It's like, And like we talk about peace, man, right? So, or I talked about peace. The meditation gives you a peaceful state. It helps you become more peaceful.
It helps you become present, which makes you feel calm.
Yeah, definitely so. And then if you were to look at like the scale of consciousness, peace is second off the top, and just above that is enlightenment.
Yeah.
So peace is like a high vibration, man.
Really high.
It's very, very
right
high.
up there.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's just tipping off enlightenment. Like think about it, if you can cultivate that into your life, and then when you have that yourself, you expand that to people around you.
Yes,
so everyone that comes
true.
into your presence, you want to make them more peaceful. Because how nice does it feel? Think about how nice it feels just to be peaceful alone.
Yeah, it's so
And
true.
when you have that, you possess that now, because that's what it is. It's a possession. You own that. You almost own that vibration.
You've cultivated that.
You've cultivated that, man. Then you start sharing with other people, man. You start giving it out there because you know the benefit of having it.
Exactly. And everything that comes out of you comes back to you.
Yeah.
That's something I've learned over the last couple of years. Like it could be anything. Like the energy that you give off to other people,
you get it back.
It always comes back. So if you're giving off negative, like if you're not meditating or you're just stressed all the time, you're only going to be getting that back off people because you're going to be reactive, and then you're only going to get reactions back. And
it's reciprocated.
You're just fueling people to be the same way back to you, and you're not aware you're doing it. So it's like the people are just living in this like, I don't know, it's like this weird world where it's just reaction.
That's a great point to make, man. That's what meditation really gives you as well, is a different perspective on life.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, man. I think that's one of the biggest things it gives you.
It gives you eyes to see.
It does, man. Like think about, like say for instance, just on a daily basis, man, we're together a lot of the time and we're out somewhere. We live in a beautiful place near the sea. It's lovely and we go on nature. We always say we're in heaven, man. That's a perspective. That is a perspective.
That's true.
And I believe when meditation, we'll loop back around the thoughts in a second. But meditation, it just changes your perspective on life, man. It just gives you this. It's almost like you're always looking at yourself. You watch yourself like a hawk.
Yeah.
And you want to be a better person because of it. Think about no one reaches that level of awareness and wants to be bad.
No,
you know what I mean?
No,
it's only goodness that will come into your life from it.
Yeah, exactly. Because all the bad stuff that happens, it doesn't come because people are, well, it can, but very rarely it's that people are consciously bad.
No.
It's that they're unconsciously unaware of what they're doing. So they don't see the harm they're doing. Like, was it the road to hell is paved with good intentions? People don't see that the behavior that they're doing is actually causing all these other side effects because of that, because they don't stop and look at their behavior. So in their mind, the image of themselves is, I'm helping person, I'm helping this, I'm doing this, I'm good for my kids. But if you actually look at your behavior, which you're unaware of, that's actually toxic and you don't even see that. So then like you're reacting to other people, giving out to them, even though it's like you're projecting all the time.
Yeah.
Because you haven't sat back and looked at yourself and looked at all the things that you're doing.
Reactional, yeah.
Yeah, and I find as well when you meditate, you stop judging other people because you start to see, well, all of this is inside of me as well. And I'm probably in some camp doing this or doing that, and that's negative. And when you're not aware, you project it. So this is what I used to do. So when I first started meditating, I started catching myself going, I'm judging all these people, but I'm not actually looking at myself.
Yeah.
And then I started to see as well, like, why does this annoy me? Why does that annoy me? It's because that's inside of you as well.
Yeah.
Your ego has the same issues as well. And when you see it in someone else, you react to it because it actually, at an unconscious level, it's in you and you don't like it.
Yeah.
So you take it out on other people to try and hide it from yourself that, hold on, you're the exact same as that person.
Exactly. And you talked about the ego there, man. That's one thing when you get to that level of awareness through meditation is that you start to understand that you're not your mind. There's something right. You've got your mind here, and then behind the veil, you're just awareness. At the essence of what you are is just an awareness.
Well, that's what all the spiritual teachings would tell you, is that it's like we have this entity which is called the ego, which is something that we develop as kids, you know, from the way our parents give us names and we identify with the names, and then we have experiences.
And the place you're born.
Yeah, the place you're born. We have a story in our head of who we are and where we came from, and but it's all in your mind. It's actually not, if I showed you where is Niall Foley right now, like where is that image of Niall? It's not there.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, man.
Yeah.
It's a hallucination.
Yeah.
So what's actually there when you meditate and when you like people take like psychedelic drugs and you go deeper into the mind is that I think at the base of it, you're actually just energy, or you're just consciousness or awareness. There's loads of different names for it.
That's what I believe it to be as well, man.
Yeah,
like you felt it through the practice of meditation.
Like it's hard to put words, isn't it? Because it's a feeling. It's not like, okay, you can read about it.
I can tell you all day, but you actually have to experience it.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
If I say this to like people listening now are probably going, what are these like lads talking about? But it's like, okay, I mean, here's a great analogy that I took from somebody. Can't remember who it was, but it's like, imagine you would never experience fire ever. You don't know what fire is. Good, yeah. You've never touched it. You've never seen it. You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And you come to this planet and I explain to you, we have this thing here that you rub things together and it has heat and it cooks food and it keeps us warm and it burns things and it does. And you'd be like going, what are you talking about? What, how does it do it? You know, you'd have to see the fire, put your hand over the fire to experience the fire.
Yeah.
Like I can talk about it all day long abstractly and you're just going to look at me and you're going to be like, yeah, I conceptually get it, but I don't know what it is. So it's the same with this experience, same with any experience. words don't do it justice. It has to be something that's felt. And it's something that we live in a world now where everything is conceptualized in the mind. You have to try and logically come to a conclusion with everything. But some things are not logical. Some things they blow logic out of the fucking water.
And like we were saying now, they can't even be explained. Like, how can you explain to someone what it feels like to be like that? You have to do it yourself.
You have to do it yourself.
Yeah. Like, remember when you watched the Sadhguru and Joe Rogan episode?
Yeah.
He talked about that. He's like, he was trying to explain it to him. He's like, I can't. You can't do it.
Because words only get so far and then it just falls off a cliff because it's just, there's things.
Isn't that the beauty of it though? That's so mystical that we can't explain. Or say, for instance, you can't explain what it is.
And it doesn't bring an awe back into your life that's kind of missing.
It's like a secrecy. It's like, what is it?
Yeah, but it's curiosity as well. It makes you curious about different things.
Yeah, it sparks curiosity.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's so healthy because curiosity can lead to enthusiasm and it leads to you going down things and getting passionate about things, which is so important.
Yeah.
How many people are passionate about what they do?
Yeah, well, I always say, man, if you're not curious, you're going to stagnate because there's nothing firing upstairs. You know what I mean? You need to have something going, like whatever new ideas or just be interested in something. Curiosity is trait. Like, it's almost like you should have it because it'll just make you a better person for it.
Yeah, but it's like a muscle. Yeah, it's like meditation. You have to train it as well. Like if you're not curious, if you're not creative, you'll just slowly lose that skill of being able to do it. So it's something that you have to try and bring back into your life in small amounts. And when you meditate, man, you get curious. You get curious about your mind. You get curious about the thoughts you're having, about the direction you're going.
Because you feel like there's something more here.
There's something more, and it creates that. Yeah,
it definitely does, man.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, big time, was the relationship to meditation and breathwork and how it can improve attention span and focus.
Yeah, well, think about it. If you're going to sit there, say for instance, my own personal experience.
Yeah.
I built it up now that I meditate 20 minutes a day.
Okay.
And for me, like, it's a trained skill, man. You have to sit there and you have to become focused.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting there, you're quite still.
Yes.
Sitting there, eyes closed, body's not moving. You're in that position now, right?
But I'm saying the focus side of it, like, so what benefits are you seeing over the last...
Focus-wise?
Focus-wise.
Yeah. Well, from doing that, sorry, I was just going to get to the point.
Sorry.
When you're sitting there and you're focused on your breath and your thoughts are coming around, let's say for the beginning of the meditation, you're going to become somewhat distracted.
Yes.
Like anyone. You sit down, the mind is chattering, the mind is wandering, it's just going. It's going. It's just going.
It's uncontrollable now.
It's uncontrollable.
It's incessant.
And then you get into it bit by bit by bit and you start to... You're never going to eliminate thought. The thoughts, you're always going to have thoughts.
It's happening. It just happens. Like your breathing happens.
Yeah. What you're trying to do is manage and control your thoughts. So say, for instance, I'm sitting there, 10 minutes go by, I'm getting better, the thoughts are starting to slow down.
Yeah.
Now. You're going into different brainwave states. You're trying to slow it down and slow it down and slow it down.
And you become the observer of what's going on.
Exactly.
Instead of being involved.
And this is the point I was going to get to. From doing that, from just having a clear intention and focus, I'm only going to focus on my breath. I want to slow my thoughts down. This is where you start to cultivate the tool of having better focus for the rest of your life. Even though you come out of the meditation after 20 minutes or however long it may be, maybe you don't even put a time on it.
Yeah.
You take that skill from that 20 minutes and then you have it for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
For a lot of the day.
That's so true.
You're like,
so you can translate that skill of self-discipline and focus into now your work. So when you're going to read a book, instead of every 2 pages you're checking your phone, or every time you're watching even a movie, you can't watch the movie. Yeah. You're building that skill of attention. Because if you think of it, man, our attention is being attacked right now from all angles. You think of the phone, man, just for 1 second, and think of how easily our attention goes to the phone. Like, because you think of the neurochemistry that goes involved. Like the minute I hear that buzz, that could be anything. That could be a girl texting me. That could be a job offer. That, your mind always exaggerates what it could be, or what it, and it could be negative as well. That could be that bill that's coming. So we always want to check. We have that almost addiction to it.
Yeah.
And it's like when you meditate and when you do breath work, it's like you're training yourself to get better at dealing with that. Because if you just have that all the time, so you've got the phone, the TV, you've got things buzzing everywhere. If you don't have something that's counteracting that on the other side of the scale, you just like anxiety happens. You see the levels of anxiety and
there's too many distractions.
There's too many things.
And that's what you're trying to do with your mind with meditation.
Yeah, you're building that muscle.
Yeah.
So when you do feel a bit anxious and stuff, you know how to get back to where you should be and how to calm your mind. You're not just getting raced off. Yeah. If you think of like the amount of people now struggling with anxiety, I think a big thing is because they don't have the self-discipline to be able to focus their attention. Their conscious attention onto what they're doing.
Think about
and they're getting dragged.
People's heads are full of distractions. Like you talked about the phone, man. You just
think of TikTok. Just think of that just look at TikTok for 1 minute, right? This is a little test, right? If you're not on TikTok, I'm not on it, but I've done it once, and I just flicked for a minute just on TikTok, and the speed at which the information was going at me was it was incredible.
Your brain can't hack it, man.
It can't. You think it can, but it can't.
Information overload.
Information overload. Like all our senses are being hyper stimulated to a level that we can't even comprehend. And it's like you're asking your mind to try and process that and deal with that.
And then it becomes addictive.
And then you start, exactly, because it's so easy to do and it kind of gives you that dopamine. You can just literally, you see people, man, they sit there and it's like,
but your mind goes numb, man.
Your mind goes numb.
You talked about attention. Where you put your attention is where your energy is.
Yeah.
Where attention goes, energy flows.
That's exactly it. So again, having the backup of meditation to deal with all of that kind of like mad, instantaneous stuff that's going on, it's so crucial. If you want to have good mental health, if you want to be, centered, if you want to feel good.
A lot of people living with anxiety,
A lot, man.
Meditation has huge effects on how the brain is, man. It shrinks your amygdala, and that's what perceives danger.
Perceives danger and pain.
And pain as well, man.
You can actually change your perception of pain because a lot of pain is in the mind. Like obviously physical injury is in the body, but what happens after the physical injury in the recovery process, a lot of it's down to your perception of
a lot of studies done on this as well, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot of benefits to meditating. And like I said, that's a huge one, man. We live in a world where everyone's either quite anxious or depressed or whatever's going on.
Stress is the big one.
Stress is huge, man. Think about diminishing that to some extent where your mind's more at peace. Well, why is everyone so stressed, depressed and anxious, man? It's because their mind is like... It's like a ball in a glass that's just constantly moving, man. It's rattled around, man.
That's so true.
Stillness. Become more still in just everything. And look, we'll talk about cultivating the practice in a few minutes, man, but it's too key not to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a big believer. I'd love everyone to do it, man, because people will become better people from doing the practice.
They will. And they'd be so much happier.
They would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we say, what's our slogan?
Their life satisfaction would go through the roof.
Everything would go through the roof.
Like I said, man, your whole dynamic and perception changes, man.
Yeah.
You start living in a more positive way. Like we talk about thoughts.
You're more present, so you see things that are going on. You see your behavior. You see how you're affecting other people. You see the direction you're going.
People are either living in the past or thinking about the future, and they're never right here.
The only time that exists is now.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you can't learn to be present now, it doesn't matter what plans you're making, because when those plans happen, you won't be there to experience them because you'll be looking again into the future and then into the future, and you'll never be here.
Exactly.
You'll never actually be here living the life that you want to live.
So true.
You'll always be planning and planning and planning. You're living a second-hand life. Live right now. Go now. So when you meditate and you get to that moment of pure peace and sometimes even bliss, man, you feel so good. And then you carry that into the rest of your day. Your life is so much better because you're living your life. You're not projecting yourself forward and back. Man.
You're seeing it more clearly. Think about if you're always wishing for the future and thinking about the past. You're missing the present.
Point.
You're missing the present. Yeah.
The whole point of life is to be here and now. Like when you're dancing, right? Is the point of dancing to end up at a certain point on the dance floor? No, the point of dancing is just to dance.
Yeah.
And that's the point of music. Is it to play music the fastest or to get music into... No, it's just to play music and sit there and listen to music and just feel that vibration going through your body. That's what life is. It's just live life now.
Yeah.
Stop trying to maneuver things or things that happened to you in the past that affected everything that's now and your excuses and, oh, this happened to me, I can't do it. It's like, all of that is bullshit. All of it is bullshit. What's happening right now? Can you move? Can you walk? Can you talk? Can you do this? Can you do that? Yes, you can do it. Okay, get rid of the story. Stop worrying about what's going on. Go do it.
Yeah.
Like it's not simple, but when you meditate and you start practicing it, you start to get better at it and you get more confidence as well.
Yeah.
So you
self-assurance, man. Self-assurance. That's what it is.
Many different things like that.
Many different things. Well, what's the next question we have on the list?
The focus is the big one. So that was one of the main reasons, like if anyone's listening to this, why we would want you to, one of the main kind of like selling points on meditation would be the increased focus, the better attention span, because as we know, I think there's a quote recently that our attention span is nearly that of a goldfish at this stage because of the technology and because of our lack of self-discipline and how we can't actually keep our mind on something.
That's what it is, man. That's really the key point there.
That's the key
lack
point.
Of self-discipline.
Lack of self-discipline, lack of, many different things.
If you can get yourself to the point where you're just sitting there and all you're doing is thinking about your breath, that's complete control, man. Because I've had it before where I'm sitting there and I'm like, I could get up and do this.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going to sit here.
I can do what I want.
You are in control.
You're in control.
Your mind will want to go off. Your mind will want to chase whatever. But you're going to say, no, we're going to sit here.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on my breath.
Yeah.
And then that thought goes.
The mind is a great servant and a terrible master. So when you start to meditate, you become the master and not the mind. Because when the mind is the master, this is when anxiety happens. This is when stress happens. This is when overthinking happens. Because the mind is not meant to be the master. The awareness behind the mind or above the mind, whatever you want to say, that's the master.
Yeah.
And when you become more awareness and less mind, that's when you get more power. And that's when you sit there, you're in control. You make the decisions. You're not being pulled everywhere by different thoughts. No, this is where we're going and this is what we're going to do.
Exactly. Instead of using you use it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's like a tool. It's like a tool, man.
It's a tool.
It's like meditation is a tool as well.
100%. So we're going to move on. So that's the focus and increased attention span. That's something that we definitely think is something very, very important.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about the increase in, well, we kind of talked about it already, but a little bit in self-awareness and then the improved mood and the regulation of your emotions from meditation and breathwork.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's huge. Especially
The awareness is great, isn't it?
The awareness is brilliant, man. The awareness, I think, awareness starts everything starts with awareness, man. If you're not aware, then you're obviously not here. You don't know.
Well, how can you make a move if you don't know that there's a move to be made?
Exactly.
And awareness is that. It's like, as you said before, it's the falcon view, looking around, going, okay, well, here's the chess pieces on the board. Well, if I move this one, but then this happens and I get blocked. This is like your life. Say you're going in different directions with jobs and relationships and stuff. But you're watching it, going, well, if I make this move, my chances of being happy or my chances of getting further up the line where I want to get to is increased. So you start to, you know what I mean? You're seeing things way more like from that kind of point of view.
You definitely, 100%, bro. You start seeing things like you've never seen them before. That's one thing with meditation. And then your whole interpersonal reactions get so much better as well. Because every time you're around someone, say for instance where you meet someone and they're annoyed and they're angry. Yeah. Say it's a family member, right?
Yeah.
And they approach you and they're all annoyed and angry about whatever. Okay.
Something happened,
Something happened. When you're quite aware of what's going on, you don't want to add fuel to that fire. What you want to do is quell it down. Yes. All right. So you're not going to. So you start becoming more aware of the tonality of your voice.
It's true.
How your posture is, how your body language is, how you'll speak to them, how you'll respond to them.
You're trying to get them to calm down through just being around you.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. That's the key point, man. You're trying to bring them down to such a level where they're a bit more calmer.
That's true.
Because like we talked about, man, the scale of consciousness, say for someone anger, it's very low. Peaceful is very high. You want to bring them up, man. That's what it's all about. It's about bringing people up.
You hear that, I want to bring these people up. That's what it means. You want to increase their vibration. You want to get them from that lower vibration to somewhere that's more energy, higher up, more positive, less living and then all that other stuff that's going on.
Definitely so, bro. And one thing with meditation and the self-awareness aspect of it, it increases your emotional intelligence. So you become more empathetic. You start to understand people on a greater scale, man.
That's big.
And like you said, we talked about regulating emotions, man. You start to understand and you start seeing your emotions in a different way. And the way I could describe it is, imagine you're sitting on the side of a road and your emotions, thoughts and feelings are like cars that are going past.
Yeah.
So just the cars are all just moving around, right? And you're going to feel a certain way, and I'm human. I'm going to feel emotions. You know what I mean? I'm going to feel love, anger, whatever.
Yeah,
they come and go, man. But one thing you don't do when you start to observe them,
don't identify them. Observe them.
Don't identify with them, and don't attach to them. You just see them. Okay, this is how I'm feeling right now.
Feel them. Accept them.
Exactly. Yeah. But don't buy into them, because what happens? Say for instance, I'm hitting on anger here at the moment. When someone's angry, man, they're like literally the anger comes out through them.
Well, they go.
You actually see.
It's like an entity that takes over them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
a demon that just takes over, and then you are out of control.
They lack self-control.
You take your hand off the wheel, and anger is driving the car.
The Stoics were big into this, man.
Yeah, they were.
You should have control over your own emotions. This is the power that you have.
100%.
Don't let the emotion rule you. Yeah. And that's what you see with a lot of people nowadays, man. Yeah, everyone's quite reactive and wanting to get at each other.
Yeah, it's very tribal, and you're wrong, I'm right, and good and bad. And
how does that make you feel? How does anger make you feel? Why would you want to tap into the feeling of being angry? Now I'm calling out anger here.
People do it because they're unconscious, right? Yeah. So think of it, by going onto a team. Say, let's use an analogy of a football team, right? I'm Manchester City, you're Liverpool, right? Yeah. So I'm on the Manchester City team now. I have to have an enemy in order for me to exist. In order for us to mean anything, there has to be an opposing force. Yeah. So that's what it is. People, they get meaning from attaching to a group, and then they attack the other group, and that gives them meaning. And then when their team wins, and then when their team is down, it's...
Imagine that. Because I used to be a Man United fan, man.
And it's great to be passionate about these things.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
No, but if you get sucked into it and you start really getting into it, it's like you've lost yourself.
What does happen? You lose yourself, man, because you give away your emotions to that team. So if that team loses, you're down. If that team wins, you're up. Yeah, you know what I mean? How
your level of happiness is dictated by something outside of you.
It's crazy. Because when you break it down, because that's what it is, man.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
And that's just an example. That happens in loads of different ways.
You want to be supporting a good football team? You definitely would be.
But that's just an example. Yeah. You know what I mean? We know that happens in all different walks of life.
Exactly.
But again, the problem there is that you're externalizing your happiness to something that's not you.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And when you realize that, man, you start to tap into this. Comes back to self-awareness again. When you start to realize, okay, I don't want to feel angry because there's no
good in it.
There's no good in it at all. You start tapping into higher emotions. So say love, what a feeling that is. Enjoyment, peace.
Something we've talked about a lot, man, is love, right? You mentioned love to people, and it's a reaction, especially in Ireland. It's almost to laugh. It's like love, but it's like everything that we do, man. Almost everything that we do. Yeah. Is because we're searching for love. And
it's a deeper connection.
And I know even by saying that, people are like, what do you say? It's so true. Everyone wants to connect with somebody else.
Magical feeling that there is, man. Oh. And that's a very high vibe. There you go. Talking about vibrations again, man. It's a very high vibe.
So when you start meditating and breath work and getting more aware of yourself and catching yourself being angry and catching yourself reacting, it's like, how can you be in love if you're always in that state? You can't. So when you start to meditate, you start to go, well, why am I always like this? Do I actually want to be in a higher vibration? Do I actually want love? Do I want to attract people that I really want to connect with? It's like, well, if you do, This is a great tool to start to get you to get rid of your bullshit, get rid of all your negativity, your conditioning, your past trauma, all the stuff that's holding you back from getting to those higher levels.
Yeah.
And now when you start to break them down and get through them and do the work on yourself, now you can start to experience love. Now the right people start coming to you because you've got rid of all your baggage, all your bullshit. But if you're going around with baggage and you're going around with all these bad habits and negative behaviors and like neuroses and everything like that.
Nothing there serving you.
Nobody, but anyone that you want to connect with or attract, like the right people, they're not going to go near you. And they won't even be aware, some of them won't even be aware why, but they just won't like the way you are.
Well, self-love is huge, man. Think about this, right? So you can never love anyone else unless you love yourself first.
No,
you can never care for anyone else unless you care for yourself first. So this is where it all stems from. You need to be set up in your own way first before you can give that out anywhere.
Yeah.
And this is the important thing about meditation is that becoming more self-aware, you realize you want to be on them frequencies there, man.
Because they feel so good.
They feel so good.
Why would I want to be in any other state of mind than this?
Exactly.
Do you know
That's what it is, man.
But again, it comes back to, it's almost at an unconscious level. We're actually afraid to feel love almost as much as we're afraid to die. Something I thought about yesterday. I was like, people are terrified to feel love because when have you ever felt real love?
Yeah.
It's so rare, man. Some people have never felt it. And it's a terrifying thing to be that vulnerable. Like you have to be vulnerable to be in love with anyone or with anything. Yeah. You cannot have a big staunch ego, strong mind, and then actually connect with something because you're blocking.
Especially for a man,
you're like a hard shell.
Especially for a man, you have to become very intimate with someone else.
You do,
and
man.
Like you talk about vulnerability, all the doors are open, bro.
It's so true.
Everything's open.
It's almost like I like to think.
What an experience it is!
It's amazing, and we all want it. We all crave it.
That's
we all
need
it.
Man, as a kid, if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be here now.
No,
or
you'd be depressed.
It's very, very sad.
Whatever.
Man. If you don't receive love as a kid, you'll never develop.
You don't understand what it is.
You don't understand what it is.
Like we said earlier,
it's the only thing you seek.
If you didn't experience fire, how would you know what fire is? If you've never actually had love, you don't know what it is. But when you actually find it or when you get it, even if it's only brief, why is that not something that you want to have all the time? Because it's possible.
I keep talking about it at the moment, bro.
The only person,
can't get out of my head.
The only person in your way is yourself.
That's true, yeah.
And it's when you meditate and when you settle down and when you contemplate, you see that. It's like no one else is to blame. I can feel amazing whenever I want. It's all up to me. Yeah. Let's start doing the work right now. Yeah. And this is one of the best tools that you can possibly ever do in order to get yourself to that position.
Man, I think it's the most important tool you can ever use. Going back to meditation, for instance, because like I said, you start tapping into everything that you've never seen before. Yeah. It's incredible.
It is incredible.
Have we covered self-awareness then?
So with the whys, we have, we pretty much covered it, man. Yeah. We talked about reducing stress. We talked about how it can reduce anxiety. We talked about how it can improve your mood and regulate your emotions, which is in this day and age so important. We talked about the improvement that it has for focus, the increased attention span, which is something that we think is extremely important right now to counteract everything that we spoke about.
And the inner peace as well.
The inner peace, the inner calmness. So I think that's pretty much, and again, one other thing we didn't really get into, and we won't get into it too much, but if you are somebody who's studying for exams, if you're somebody who's like trying to get a job or whatever, and you want to do a bit of research, the improvements that you can get in your learning from meditating, and then your memory. So you're like being able to remember what you learn is greatly enhanced.
Like
as well
I said, man, it changes a lot of. It changes your brain the way it's shaped. So say your amygdala shrinks, your hippocampus, which has got to do with learning and memory, that increases. Yeah, and many other parts.
Your hippocampus actually is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then also at the same time with that, what the memory thing as well is that it slows everything down. So information overload starts to get better. So like, how can you study for exam
because you start becoming more selective? That's the thing with meditation, man. You start to only include what you want to have. So you become so selective in
the information.
Say for instance, right? You've got a friend group and there's 2 or 3 lads that you don't really get along with. But for years you've been putting up with it. You start meditating, you start realizing, I don't actually like their kind of vibe or how they are.
And you start to detach then.
Then you detach, man. You come away from that because you become more selective in who you want to spend your time with.
And that's the same with the information because again, if you're just like listen to podcasts, and there's no direction to it, like you're not actually learning anything. So when you actually meditate, you go, well, I actually want to learn this because this is going to get me to the next level in my development with work or, with a personal project. And then because you're meditating and you're slowing things down and hopefully you're getting good sleep, you're going to be able to retain that information way better. Yeah. Whereas if you're just constantly on the phone scrolling, taking information and you're not settling yourself, you can't memorize it. You can't remember it. Just too much.
It's too much, man.
So there needs to be that balance of learning, that needs to be then reflection, and then obviously sleep. And that's another thing that meditation can do. It can improve your learning and your memory. So
100%.
There's just so many different things.
There is. Many benefits.
We can go on all day long about it.
We couldn't eat, bro.
So how could anybody that's listening, where would they start if they were like, right, I've never meditated. I don't know what it is. What's going on here? How do I do this?
I love a quote, man, that I read from Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk. And he says in the book, like, if you're trying to cultivate the habit of meditation, what you have to do is he had a phrase that he went off. So time has memory and then location has energy. So if you want to cultivate the habit of, say, meditation, you find a certain spot. So time has memory. Time is memory, location is energy. Yeah. So do it maybe at the same time every day if you can. All right. And then location, do it in the same spot because that location has the energy.
And that creates a habit.
It does, man. Such as going to sleep at night, you go to your bed, you know, whatever time it is, that location there you sleep.
When you've been doing it for the same for a couple of weeks, you just start to naturally do it without thinking.
Exactly. For me, man, I'm quite blessed with a back garden. I can do it there. You know what I mean?
Most of us have back gardens.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. Just even the act. So say, for instance, the cues around, the visual cues. Yeah. You need to get your area set up.
Yeah.
For me, it's just
cultivate where's peaceful for you. It could be the beach, it could be the park, it could be your bedroom.
Exactly.
But start to think about, okay, where would I feel most comfortable?
Exactly. And for me as well, man, when you're cultivating the habit, like I've started using, for 2 years, I've used Headspace, you know, the app. It's guided meditation, man. Yeah. So it's brilliant because before I had no real clue how to go about it. And now I'm quite lucky to say that I use it now and then, but I don't use it all the time.
But it was the stepping stone for you to start to understand, okay, this is how I should feel when I'm meditating, or this is how I go about getting into the meditative state.
Even one thing that I love about the Headspace app is that it always brings you back around, man, because you're going to get distracted in meditation.
Oh, yeah.
You start to understand your mind's going to wander, it's going to scroll off.
Of course, because you haven't done it before. So
exactly.
And it doesn't want to settle. It wants to be in its normal state, which is chaos.
And this is why you gain such control over yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can control your own mind.
Yeah.
But what the Headspace app does, it always brings you back around, man. So say, for instance, it's kind of, it'll give you always space in between. That's your time to control yourself. Yeah. And you may get distracted, you may not. But it'll always bring you back. Okay, listen, if you've lost your train of thought, bring it back around once again.
Yeah.
Focus on your breath.
Let's redirect things.
Exactly, redirecting. And it's brilliant, man. And I think if I could recommend to anyone, it'd be get an app. I think Calm is another one as well, but Headspace has worked so well for me.
Yeah, there's a couple, man. That's a good shout. It's a really good shout. One for me that I would throw in there is very simple. YouTube. There's a lot of guided meditations, and the thing with YouTube is that it's so vast. There's so much things. But again, I say to people all the time, it's subjective to what you do. So pick music that resonates with you, like you like the music. Pick a voice that you like. Yeah. But don't be dogmatic. Like pick whatever suits you. So you could try meditation and go, do you know what? It was a bit cheesy for me. Okay. The music was a bit too loud. Okay. But just keep going. And eventually you'll find the exact music that suits you, that helps you get calm, and you'll love the voice then. And even some of the mantras that the voice is saying might resonate with what you're trying to figure out or understand or just help you relax.
Mantras are important, man.
Mantras are big.
Yeah. Like we witnessed at the Moonstock a couple of weeks ago. That was big.
Yeah, but
like, love what is.
Love what is. Yeah.
Like Fabio Foster said that was brilliant, man.
But
when we sat there and done that, man, that changed everything for me.
It does. And what a mantra as well is so important for, especially if you're like, say, into sport or into different things. It's like, it's amazing for, you know, if you get lost a little bit, just kind of like basically keeping you on track. So it could be something that's like, if you're enjoying an experience, you could literally just stop and say to yourself, be present now. Like that's something I say to myself all the time now, because it's so easy to just get lost in the moment, you know, when you're at a concert and you have your phone up and you're like, well, what am I doing with the phone up? Like I'm here to experience this. Yeah. So even by having a mantra, it can actually reset you and get you back to what you're trying to achieve in anything, you know?
It's very positive, man. Yeah. It's like positive. You're you're refeeding yourself positive psychology.
You're reinforcing, exactly, man. You're basically training your brain to do something that you want it to do.
Exactly.
And it has to be reinforced. It's like your brain does not learn things unless it's repeated. That's how neurons start to fire and wire together.
But how good is it just repeating the same sentence over and over together? That's actually fulfilling you in a way that's like, it's just saying, okay, like be present now.
Yeah.
You always say that, so you're always here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. No, exactly.
There's okay, man. Affirmations and mantras, man, they're very important to have.
They're huge. And again, you mess around with different ones. But what you're trying to do there is you're basically talking to your subconscious. You're talking to the parts of your brain.
You're feeding into them.
Yeah, you're talking to the parts that you're not aware of. So the more you say it, the more you plug it in. It's like if I'm, you just start plugging it in and you start to adapt to it then.
Exactly.
All right, and then another thing we're going to talk about was just real quick at the end. We didn't talk too much about breathwork, but breathwork's very similar to meditation. Obviously, there's different techniques. We haven't gone. We're actually. I'm starting a and I think you are too. We're going to start the Wim Hof breathwork course now, starting next week. So what we want to do is we want to get further down the line with that. We've obviously practiced it ourselves, but now we want to get to a stage where we'd feel comfortable.
It's an interest we want to explore.
Exactly. We'd feel comfortable almost coaching it or showing people, or bringing people through a session. So it's something that we're really into and that we're excited to get going with. So that's something we do on the Saturday mornings at our men's class, is the Wim Hof method. So
there's a lot of value to it.
Yeah. So breathwork is slightly different, but the Wim Hof method would be another thing I would send people to if you're interested in getting started down this road of meditation and breathwork and self-analysis. The Wim Hof method you find on YouTube, as I said. Yeah. You want to talk them through how it works?
I wouldn't be too aware of the Wim Hof method, but even breathwork in general, bro. What I'd like to talk about, man, is actually, it's so important to do, man. Like I know we can't see our diaphragm or our ribs, but we have to use them. You know what I mean? Yeah. People don't have great lung capacity, and I think it's, if you don't use it, you lose. And especially your diaphragm, man, it's a big muscle that sits across there. Yeah. If you don't use it, it almost puts pressure on the rest of your digestive system. Yeah.
Your diaphragm as well. It's almost like a pump, isn't it? So it's like the less, as you said, you use it, the more you lose it. So it's like if that pump gets weaker, the more you don't use it. So you keep pumping that over, say you might do breath work a couple times a week. You're increasing your lung capacity. You're increasing the power in which your diaphragm can move air in and out.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things for longevity and lifespan, something you said to me recently, was how you breathe.
Yeah.
Like how much oxygen you can take in, how much CO2 you can get rid of.
That's so important for everyone, man. Jesus Christ. And even sports as well. Just how do your lungs operate? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. Like if you're
them moving, it's so enjoyable to do as well, man. There's it's almost, I swear to God, man, I feel pleasure of doing it.
Yeah,
I love taking
it's a natural high, James.
Inhalation and then
it's a natural high. And like if you wanted to calm yourself down, what I would recommend would be like if you take a breath through your nose, and then if you double the length of the exhale, if you do that for one to 5 minutes, man, you are going to feel like a new person.
Do you know what feels lovely as well, man? I was only thinking about this morning when you saw it, you were like,
yeah.
Well, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's exaggerating, but you have more control of it. Say a sigh happens naturally, but you're actually consciously aware, I'm going to have a long exhale here.
It's a natural reaction to feeling calm. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like you could have went through something stressful, or you could be having a day of it, or whatever, and it's just this release of
like crazy without you doing it. They actually do it,
but you can do it but you can do it consciously.
Of course you can,
you know, to actually get.
It's like stretching as well, man. Say when you wake up in the morning, you naturally just stretch. You start reaching all out.
Yeah, why am I doing that? It's something inside you.
And why does it feel good then to move your body? It just
same thing.
It just doesn't.
And that's going to lead us then just to finish off the podcast today. So hopefully we took something from it. Hopefully that it's inspired people that are listening to at least try it out, or to at least be more curious about what it is. But now we're going to lead into the next pillars of what we do at Purusha, which is obviously physical exercise. We're personal trainers. Physical exercise and the importance of play with the training as well.
Yeah, the next two pillars of the Purusha podcast.
Getting those together though. Getting that so not just training to train, training to have fun, and training for life. Not just training for a 6-week transformation, training for the rest of your life, and using your body in ways that are enjoyable and pleasurable.
Yeah, making training fun, man. I think that's the most important thing is enjoying what you do. You know what I mean? That's crucial, because if someone doesn't enjoy what they do, well, they're not going to do it for very long. No. Like 6 weeks is nothing, but try and get someone. And you just
end up getting injured, bitter, and fall off the wagon.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't want any of them.
Not at all, bro. But so, that's what's going to come.
Great podcast, man. Really enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah.
Whoop. Slight handshake there. So podcast number 2, I think we're much happier with how that went than the previous one. But like I said before, man,
we won't mention the previous one.
It's a learning curve, bro. It's a learning curve. This isn't going to be a success overnight, so it's going to take time.
No, like anything, it has to take its time.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that, man.
It was good. It was a good podcast.
It was.
Well. So listen, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Going to wrap it up there. All the best.
Get meditating, guys. See you.